Hey, welcome back to No Hype Beer Reviews. Unless it's your first time, then welcome. Please consider subscribing. If you do, hit the notification bell, get all the updates. Man, I'm excited for today's beer. So, it's Cellar Saturday. I try to take something off my cellar, or out of my cellar, and drink it and see how it's aged. And I love this beer. And it was between this and Parabla. I knew I wanted something barrel aged. I was a little bit more in the mood for a barley wine, but I said to myself, whichever one's older, and if they're like the oldest one I have, and if they're the same year, I'll go with this one. And this one happens to be a year older than my oldest Parabla. So for anyone who's wondering why I picked it, there you go. 2014, so it's 6 years old at time of review. I won't read the whole box, but I'll read the tasting notes they have. We now present, you can see it's all jacked up and I had to tape it. So we now present the 2014 vintage of, I pronounce it Sucaba, Abacus backwards. A true English barley wine, big boozy bourbon and American oak aromas combined with soft chocolate malt undertones. Complex malt flavors are framed in oak with hints of dark chocolate, vanilla, toasted coconut, and a touch of dark cherry. Sign me up. 13.5% ABV, and that's all. There's a bunch of stuff on the front. That's all I care to read. Let's get into it. It's right off my shelf, so I'm drinking this at like 60 degrees, just as an FYI. My plan is to, pour some in there to do the review, and then put a cap in it, put it in the refrigerator, let it chill while I eat dinner. And then afterwards, sip on it the rest of the evening. It's kind of how I like to do things. If I wasn't reviewing it, I would have chilled it first anyway. I just wanted it to be a little bit more open and not mute anything with the colder temperatures. It's a brown with crimson mixed in. I don't know what's coming across on camera, but I see a lot of red down here. And there is overlap with a quad, but if I was doing this blind, I would think it was a quad. And again, there's overlap. It's not like a knock at the beer. About half a finger of somewhere between khaki and mocha, more on the khaki side. Small bubbles, definitely looks the part. Let's get into the aroma. A lot of nice vanilla mixing with caramel. You get a lot of the characteristics of both the barrel and the base beer, and they're working together so beautifully. Because you got the dark fruit thing, and I like that they're saying cherries. I get that, figs, raisins, things like that too. So these dried fruits, and then bringing that vanilla, you're getting that caramel. I get some oak specifically. Not as much grape as sometimes I get in a quad, but there is a little bit of grape juice there. You do get the hints of chocolate. Man, if I made a checklist of everything I was hoping to smell and taste, this is basically everything. There's some soft coconut, which I was hoping for. It's kind of, especially a beer this old, you're rolling the die a little bit. The dice, whatever the expression is. It's been a long day. I'm recording this on a Friday. Bear with me. And, what was I saying? Oh, if the beer would hold up, if it's going to have the flavors that it had originally, better, worse, muted, melded, whatever. And this one, at least in the aroma, is checking all those boxes. Like I said, it does smell like a cohesive experience, although it does have all these things going on. It smells amazing. Let's get into the taste. Cheers. You know what's one of the nice things about this? Is there's that sweetness, and you could see how it would get to be too sweet, but I have to use the word harsh. There's a little bit of a harshness, a prickliness, that actually helps balance out the sweetness, which is kind of interesting. Usually I think of something, more as dry to help balance it out, or maybe a malty bitter or a hoppy bitterness. But this one, it's not the carbonation. I guess it's probably the hops or whatever, but maybe a little bit of the carbonation, but because it's not like champagne-y, but there is like this little prickliness, and really cuts down on that sweetness. It has some of that caramel, has some of that vanilla. It definitely has the barrel specific, the spirit specifically. But then there is like the drier bran brown bread thing towards the end and into the finish, which is another thing that's kind of helping balance out that sweetness. I would have thought this was going to be even sweeter based on the aroma. The cat's down here. What's up? Yeah, it's just drinking amazing. When I did one of the Problas, it must have been, actually maybe it was the 2014 one I did for a Cellar Saturday. And that one I couldn't say got better. And if anything, it was past its prime, but it's still really good. This one, it's as good as I remember. Like it definitely didn't take a hit, and the flavors are melded well together, yet still distinct enough, which is cool. It's making the review kind of easy because there's so many distinctive things to talk about. I'll do one more sip, see if I get anything else I should mention, and then we'll wrap this up. The initial prickliness has morphed into more, maybe now that my palate's like ready for it, actually a little bit creaminess, which is cool. There is some warmth there, which is nice. It's not overly boozy or anything. And again, I'm not drinking this cold, so it's not masking the alcohol. Yeah, that dried fruit thing, without being overly sweet, is really nice. I literally just bought some dates yesterday and ate a few. So that specific taste is definitely in my mind, and I can see some date in there. And then it's been a little while since I have raisins, but like you can get that raisin-ness as well. There is a little bit of chocolate. For me, it's not totally raisinette-y. I know Matt from Matt's Beer Review uses that term, and I know exactly what he means by that. And I can't quite go to that level with this beer and how it's drinking now, but this is just phenomenal. I think their tasting notes 6 years later are still on point. I'm definitely picking up some other stuff that wasn't written on there. Yeah, this has just aged beautifully, and this was definitely a good experiment to do. Have you had this beer before? Have you had this vintage recently? Any of their vintages recently? What do you think about English-style barley wines versus American? Anything, everything related. Comment section below. Let's get a conversation going. Check me out on Instagram and Untapped. It's No Hype Beer Reviews in both those places. So please like, comment, subscribe, and most importantly, imbibe. Cheers, everyone.